Game on. Welcome. It's Chew on Sports time. And I am Zach Van Meter, as always, with my player two, Chris. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going? We are here to talk a lot of NBA. We are on, not quite 24 hours, but the draft, the lottery was about 24 hours ago, as well as game one of the finals, or the Western Conference Finals, excuse me. So we're going to dish on that. And as promised, Chris and I are going to be breaking down, continuing our series on the AFC that we're doing weekly. It is the AFC South. So I've got two teams, Chris has got two teams, and we're going to break down additions, subtractions, how we think they're going to finish. And you might be surprised to see how poorly I've graded one of the teams. And we're just going to, a lot of interesting things on Twitter involving the NBA as well today. So we're kind of just going to fire off and start right there. One of the things that I'm pumped about is, I don't know about you, Chris, but every single year in free agency, I love seeing where players are going, who's going to sign where. It starts right at midnight, right? Or 11 o'clock our time, because we're West Central time. And they're actually going to change it to where instead of June 30th at midnight, so technically July 1st is when it opens, it's actually during prime time. It's actually going to be, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 7 o'clock. Let's see, I've got it pulled up right here. I think it might be 6 o'clock Central. It's going to be 6 p.m. Central on June 30th. That's when they're going to open free agency.
That's crazy.
So it's going to be like primetime television going on. You're going to have Woj on ESPN, right? Twitter. You can just go on there trending. All the transactions are going to be there. So everything's going to be live. So it's almost going to be like a draft night, right?
That is awesome.
That's amazing. That's so smart.
It is. People want to know, like, when the NFL free agency is about to start, I stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning just to hear names.
Oh, for sure.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I sit there on my phone for like 2 hours until it finally just dies. It's easily 1 o'clock in the morning for me when I finally give up, and then I wake up to, because I've obviously got Mark Stein on alert, I've got Woj on alert, I've got Shams on alert, so everything they text after I go to bed, I wake up to the massive, boom, 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 boom. So I'm very intrigued by, that in general. I think the viewership's gonna be huge.
Oh, I'm watching it.
Huge, and I think you might even have some decisions happen faster. Now, there's still that period. I still think it's a few days. Like, it's not, hey, I'm signing, boom, and it happens. It's still verbal.
I don't agree with that.
I think they shortened it a little bit.
I think if you say, hey, I'm going to sign with this team, you should be able to go sign on the dotted line.
Oh, for sure.
That way nobody gets mabbed, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Getting mabbed wasn't fun.
Well, Carlos Boozer did it before. I mean, it's a thing. It is. And
yeah. Well, Carlos Boozer did it in a different way. Carlos Boozer was actually under contract with Cleveland, and they released him from his contract so they could sign him to a new one. I don't know why they did it that way.
I think he was restricted is what it was.
Yeah, but they still released him from it.
Oh, wow.
So they could sign him to a bigger deal, and he left Cleveland to go to a different team.
Scandalous.
Yeah, Carlos Boozer did the Cavs dirty back then.
Scandalous. So we're going to be talking, like I said, a lot of NBA. So the big thing on everybody's mind that I kind of want to get into real quick before we get into all of these side things is I do want to talk about the draft lottery that happened last night.
Mavs got hosed.
So first off, I'm not a hosed, man. Considering how the history of the Mavs went, I don't consider it being hosed. What I do consider was the giant WTF moment that I had last night, because in years past, if it's a trade, obviously we know the rules. Like if the Sixers have this pick or that pick, if it goes in this window, it's this team's. And normally the team has the two emblems on there, and they say, and this pick is the Timberwolves, which means it's going to this. So they just said Atlanta
at number 10, and
right,
I'm
like, okay,
yeah.
And that meant because Atlanta was in front of us, somebody, namely us, moved up. So for a moment, I'm like, oh snap, we're moving up. And then they announced this is the Dallas pick, and I'm like, oh, and apparently a lot of people missed it. Because a lot of people that were paying attention, very just kind of like looking at it on their phone or not really at home watching it or listening to the audio, didn't see the Mavs logo, so it went to commercial break, showing, you looking at the board, and they're thinking we saw a pick in there, so yikes.
Yeah, I when they said the Hawks at 10, I was like, awesome, we moved up. And then they showed them again at 6, and I'm like, they don't have 2 picks. Yeah. I go, which one did Dallas actually give up to it?
And it was 10, and, I'm at peace with it. I don't know about you, so I kind of conceded, in my opinion, and let's see if you agree with me. I didn't think this pick was ever going to exist to begin with. And this is the reason why. The team the Mavs built last year, that before we traded for KP, that team was not going to be a lottery team. They were going to be, they would be in the lottery by fact of their borderline playoff. I think if that team would have stayed the course, they would have been chipping at the Clippers' heels for the 8th spot. I don't think they would have got in. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I think they would have been like within 4 games of the Clippers. So I think that pick would have easily been the 12, 13, 14 range, and not even in the talk of being top 10. So I think that in my mind that was the case. Now, Fake got tempted because they traded every single starter with the exception of Luka, right? So we started losing so many games just by organic tanking, is what Mike Fish calls it from the Fan, and got to the point where it got close. But when it's over, said and done with, the Dallas Mavericks just traded the 10th pick in the draft and Trae Young for Luka Doncic. Are you happy with that trade?
No.
That's too much?
That's too much.
Who are they going to take with 10?
Did we see what Trae Young did down the stretch last year?
Oh, Trae Young's phenomenal.
Okay, is him and Luka the 2 best rookies in the league this year?
DeAndre Ayton's really good.
DeAndre Ayton wasn't a rookie, was he?
All 3 are rookies.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking guy in Boston for some reason.
Oh, you're fine. You're thinking Tatum.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton was good, but we never had a shot at him.
No, of course not.
We actually had Trae Young.
So you'd rather have Trae Young in the 10th pick than Luka?
I mean, it's still to be determined on what their careers play out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, don't get me wrong, I love Luka, but I'd rather have Trae Young in the 10th pick.
Is it possible that Jalen Brunson and Luka is a better duo than Trae Young in the 10th pick this year?
Yeah, but how are we going to get Jalen Brunson?
We have Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's on our team. We got him in the 2nd round. That's how we got Jalen Brunson.
That's right, we did. Sorry, it's been a long day. Jalen Brunson's okay, though. I mean, he's not great.
He was starting point guard for a point in period, and I'm not saying he's a starting point guard, but is there a chance? I mean, we don't know who they're going to go at number 10. Atlanta has a history of drafting pretty well the last 5 years. They have. They've drafted well, but everybody's saying this is a thin draft, that this is a 30-person draft, this is a 4. Now, I don't agree with that. You don't know who's going to do what, but I'm okay with trading the 10. I think Luka is a marginally better player than Trae Young. I think this year that the Dallas Mavericks will have a better record than Atlanta. And that's not a knock on Trae Young. I think he's phenomenal. I just think that Luka's better, and I think he has the ability to be an absolute superstar. I'm not saying Trae Young doesn't, but I'm saying if you're telling me that the 10th pick could be X, right, and could be a good role player, a star, maybe not an all-star, we don't know, then I think I take Luka. I think I'm okay with it. Now, do you want both? Sure. But it all comes down to the fact is you have to have flexibility. KP, we traded 2 first rounds for KP, right? If we become a playoff team, we're looking at possibly 2 picks in the 20s for KP. I would do that all day, every day. Because the chance of hitting on a star like Rudy Gobert or Klay Thompson or whoever that late are thinner. So I know the NBA GMs are crazy, right? They all passed on Donovan Mitchell. He could have been the first pick or easily top 3 that draft, right? And he was 13th. So I know that they don't know everything. But statistics say, if they say it's a 3-person deep draft, that it probably might be that. So I'm thinking that this was the year to do it, and that's why they did do it, because they knew the prospects. Now, does it sting? Sure. The teams that got number 1 and 2, that's what we're going to move to now off the Mavs. The teams that got number 1 and 2, New Orleans won the draft lottery, which is crazy. And Memphis got number 2. So more than likely, not only is Zion going to go number 1, John Morant's going to go number 2, right? So the Mavs are going to have to play these guys for the next 8 years in their division.
If I'm Zion Williams, you know what I'm doing?
Going back to Duke?
No, I'm going overseas. He can't go back to Duke. He's hired an agent.
Oh, no, man. His shoe deal is going to be so lucrative. It's all good.
Well, he'll get a shoe deal, too, but I'm not playing in New Orleans.
New Orleans might be going to Seattle, man.
If they go to Seattle, that's fine.
Never know.
But it's the owners, the problem.
Well, and you know what though?
The owner doesn't care about the team.
Do you ever listen to The Jump, Rachel Nichols and the company on ESPN?
No.
It's on during our break room all the time. And they do a lot of talk about just good topics. She's phenomenal, man. She is just a good reporter, right? And she was talking about the GM, who was the Cavs GM, who made the Cavs team that won the championship, David Griffin, and the changes that they've made with the training facilities and everything. So it sounds to me like, just from me going in, that they're doing an overhaul of the franchise. I think they realized that they pushed a player out because AD, he gone, right?
He was no part of
the team is trying to gain leverage right now by saying, hey, I don't want to be here, right? Or he's saying, hey, they're saying they still want to try to make it work, and he's saying, I don't want to be here. So they can try to work all those moving pieces, right?
Yeah.
But we all know that he's going to be gone, and he's not going to be there. But the good news is, in all of this, if you kind of look through it, is that he gets to go be the star, and who knows what he's about to be with. So I'm not the smartest guy alive. And I could say, hey, I don't want to be in New Orleans. I could say, hey, man, I don't want to go there. But A, it would hurt his value. B, the shoe deal he's going to get is going to be insane. He will be the turning point of that franchise. And he is going to have a squad. That doesn't mean it'll be a good squad, but Anthony Davis is going to be traded. And it's going to be the first domino that falls before free agency. I'm talking, this is going to happen in June. I think the league year is like 5 days when the finals ends, okay? So I think it's kind of like how Chris Paul did the sign-in trade before free agency happened a few years ago to go to Houston. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the weird domino that felt and changed everything. Paul George the year after or the year before. So I think Anthony Davis will be the first domino. I'm thinking Celtics is what I think. I think the report I saw, I pulled up on my Twitters, are still not even interested in talking to the Lakers because they burnt that is. I don't know what they offended them. They don't even care about the fourth pick. So I think Jason Tatum,
I think
Jaylen Brown, and one other player get the deal done. What do you think?
Well, I think that gets the deal done too. I think also that Boston's gonna have to give up their first round pick this year too.
Sure, and that would probably be a good first round pick. I mean, it won't.
I think they're 11 or 12.
Oh, in this draft?
In this draft.
Maybe. But if you give them 3 lottery picks, right?
Well, that's the max. You give the max is 3. Well, I don't know what you mean. You meant players drafted,
right?
But those are 3. They're not superstars either.
Well, if you think of it this way, you have Tatum, who easily could have been the first pick in the draft, right?
Yes.
And he will be the centerpiece in the Celtics trade. Okay. You have Jaylen Brown, who's also a lottery pick, who's very, very good. But unfortunately, you've got a log jam with a lot of players that are wings that just, with Hayward and everything, it just doesn't really work.
I think they need to trade Hayward.
And then his contract is stupid, dude. Who wants that?
Well, he got a max deal.
Who wants that deal?
Nobody.
Not right now. He averaged 6 points in the playoffs. Nobody wants that whatsoever. So you talk about all these factors, and another thing that people aren't thinking about is Terry Rozier apparently wants out, regardless if Kyrie comes back or not. Who's their backup point guard? And I think he might be able to start for some teams. I really do.
Well, yeah, he
sign and trade, right?
For Rozier.
So you get Rozier, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. With a sign and trade, the contracts will work for Anthony Davis straight up, 3 for 1. He goes to the Celtics. The Celtics have financial flexibility because more than likely Kyrie is gone. They still have enough money to get like 25 at somebody. I don't know if that's Al Horford or what that is.
Just think if Boston blows this up, all the first round picks they had.
Right, for real.
And, they were the super team 2 years ago.
Well, and, Kyrie's probably not going to come back.
I wouldn't want Kyrie back.
Well, that's why they're going to try to get Anthony Davis.
Kyrie's the reason why this team's terrible.
If they can find a way, and I think it's physically impossible, but if they can find a way to get Anthony Davis without giving up Tatum, I'm going to freaking lose my stuff. Like, there's no way.
Oh, if I'm New Orleans, that's the first guy on my list. You're giving me Jason Tatum.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not getting Anthony Davis without Jason Tatum if I'm trading him to Boston.
No, for sure, absolutely. Like, I don't. It has to be it, and then if it does, now what I'm intrigued, I don't know, I think they're too dead and the relationship's too hurt to do anything, but I do think that, I really do think that, that Lonzo would be the best for Zion. If you could find a way to get Lonzo to the Pelicans, I think that would. I think, man, Lonzo and Zion dynamic, and it would probably be Brandon Ingram if his heart's okay and everything else. There's quite a few things that could probably go that direction. Like,
yeah, I think Lonzo would fit really good in Arizona. I think he'd fit better in Arizona.
Well, of course. And he already said he doesn't want to go to the Pelicans. Maybe if they have Zion, his opinion's changed on that, right? Because if you send him to the Pelicans during the trade deadline, they don't have Zion, and they have not Anthony Davis. So who knows how that's going to go. I heard a rumor that Chicago, but they didn't end up with a top 6 pick, I don't believe. They ended up with number 7.
Yeah.
But I heard that Chicago, if they got a top 6 pick, we're going to dangle that to the Lakers to try to get them. So lots of interesting stuff. You know, Mike Conley will move to Memphis here, who has a 2nd pick. Mike Conley very well could be out. He's in the last year. There's going to be veteran teams who are very, very interested in his work.
Well, I'm calling somebody in the first round with a top 10 pick.
Well, sure. The only problem is you got to make the money match. It's like,
well, Conley's on the last year of his deal. I mean, free agency starts. All you do is call a team that's got a bunch of expiring contracts.
Right. So people that are on 1-year deals are people that do that. So I'm thinking Conley. I'm thinking if he goes, it won't be a draft pick per se. Because we'll see, man. We'll see who. I know Utah was really.
The Mavs have a trade exception.
They do, and on top of that, you had Utah, who was trying to move him for him the year before. So if the Mavs miss out on Kemba, right? Let's say Kemba goes to the Lakers or goes to the Knicks or fill in the gap on the team. There's a very, very, very good chance that that Mike Conley could be a target. We did try to go after him in free agency. There's one thing I know about the Dallas Mavericks. There's one thing I know is that it's that if they have their eyes on someone, eventually they might be on their team, right? Eventually it might happen.
Yeah, the Lakers. Talk about the Lakers. I don't think anybody wants to go to LA anymore.
We're going to find out.
Well, I mean, LeBron James is 35. Who knows when the wheels are falling off? He had an injury-plagued season this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just not. I'm not saying he's not the same guy he used to be. He's still a really, really good basketball player. He might still be the best basketball player in the league for another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But he's hard to play for with. A lot of guys have come out and said that he's demanding. He's kind of like Michael Jordan in that sense.
Right. He's a not diva's the wrong word, but he is. If you are part of a LeBron circle, excellence is expected.
Yes. In
all avenues of what you do. What's intriguing to me is that if they don't get Anthony Davis, right? If they don't, they still have enough money to make a legitimate splash if they can get someone there, and they would still have quite a few pieces.
If you're the Lakers and nobody signs this year, do you trade LeBron?
I don't know. Because here's what's really interesting, and we're really ramping up on free agency talk and everything as we get closer and closer to the season, is riddle me this, Batman. We have a situation right now, okay, where you have the Lakers who have Lonzo Ball. They hired a new coach, Frank Vogel, okay, and the assistant's Jason Kidd. And specifically, what we hear is that Jason Kidd is brought on to work with Lonzo. So this is conflicting to me for 2 reasons. First, Lonzo's been in trade talks for the last year since LeBron got there, period.
Well,
and number 2, what's number 2? You know where I'm going to go with this?
His dad.
No. This is Kyrie Irving talk.
Kyrie's not going to LA.
If Kyrie was going to team back up with LeBron, so that tells me that if they are making these moves, it tells me 2 things. They're going to go for Kyrie, and if they can't get him, if they do get him, of course, Lonzo's gone. Or they already know it's a foregone conclusion that Kyrie is not coming, and he's going to team up with KD wherever KD goes, which is what Stephen A is saying, a 95% chance it's going to be the Knicks.
I'm going. If I'm Kyrie and KD, I'm both going to the Knicks. Start your own super team.
Yeah, and speaking of the Knicks, they got the 3rd pick. Ha! The worst team in the league, had the worst record. If it just dropped normal like it's supposed to, they should have the 1st. They have the 3rd. They'll get a very good player. More than likely, it'll be R.J. Barrett. We think. Yeah. We don't know. I mean,
that would be a good building block.
These guys got to work out. There's a lot of things that have to happen, right? So we don't know.
The Knicks are going to take Bol.
Probably. Hey,
That's a Nick thing to do.
I like him. I like him in the second round or late first.
Oh, he's going to go top 15 on potential only.
He might, man. He could be really good, man. Lakers got 4th pick, so they snuck almost all. New York moved back 2, and then all 3 of these teams moved up. Lakers have 4th pick, so I don't know what direction they're going to go there. It might be part of a trade package for AD. Who knows? Cleveland is 5th, so there you go with that. Phoenix is 6th. Chicago 7. Atlanta, this is Atlanta's pick, is 8. 9 is Washington, and then number 10 would be Dallas's pick, but it went to Atlanta in the Luka Doncic deal. 11 is Minnesota. 12 is the Hornets. 13 is Miami, and then Boston has the 14th pick.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, they would probably absolutely include that in a kicker for AD if they had to. I do but the problem is that that's rich, bro. Because to make the salaries work, they would have to do a sign and trade with Rozier, which means that he would have to be willing to go to New Orleans. He would have to want to go there, right, for that to happen. And then you've got Jaylen Brown, and you have Jason Tatum. So
that's a good squad as soon as you add Zion to it.
But at a draft pick 2, that's a loaded squad. That's a playoff team.
Well, I don't know about playoff team first year.
Sure.
You got 3 guys that played together.
If they're coached well enough, you saw the Lakers this year, or the Clippers, excuse me. They were 8th. Did they look like a playoff team at the beginning of the year?
No, but they have a good coach.
Gentry's a good coach.
Okay, he's in New Orleans.
With that squad, they could make some noise.
He's not a good coach.
They could be every bit as good as the Mavs.
He's in New Orleans for a reason.
They hired Gentry. Gentry can coach, man. Yeah. I'm not saying that they would be the top seed or be able to beat anyone, but they'd be right up there with Sacramento, with Dallas, with the Clippers. Remember the Lakers are going to be, we think, better. So all of these teams and only one gets in the 8th spot? Because who's fallen? Who's fallen in the West? Is it Oklahoma?
I think the Thunder fall.
Is it Denver? Is Oklahoma going to fall out of the playoffs? I mean, there's so much. It's going to be a dogfight. Oh my gosh, especially if AD gets traded to the West. Wherever AD goes, it makes it even worse because they're going to be loaded up, especially if they do the deal I think is going to happen in Boston. So that's the lottery. That's how the lottery's played out.
Well, I mean, New Orleans played it right. They didn't take the trade at the trade deadline this year. They waited until the offseason when teams had more money.
Right. Well, they couldn't trade with the Celtics
because the Celtics didn't have the money to take on the.
No, there was a weird deal in the contract that says that you couldn't have Kyrie and Anthony Davis on the same team. It's really weird. It was it's happened like twice in NBA history. It was some weird clause where they couldn't play together till this year. So weird. It was because of something in Kyrie's contract. So weird.
He didn't want to play with Anthony Davis?
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's some kind of weird clause. I'd have to look it up, and I don't have the the withal to do that live podcast without not talking. So
yeah, that's a little.
But it's pretty crazy. So otherwise, they probably would have pulled the trigger. So the writing has been on the wall for this to be the deal, and I think that's going to be. And you know what, man? You've got the Blazers getting their butts kicked last night. Warriors, KD, no KD, look like they're still going to be able to go to the finals. Toronto, that is going to be tonight. I'm intrigued to see.
Oh, it's going to be a good series.
I think Milwaukee's going to take tonight. I got Toronto winning in 6, though, is what I have in my mind. So, I mean, if Kawhi Leonard makes the finals, is he leaving Toronto? So, if I'm Boston, I see that Paul George traded to Oklahoma, stays in Oklahoma. Kawhi Leonard traded to Toronto, stays in Toronto. I'm the Celtics. I absolutely pull the trigger on Anthony Davis and say, we're a winning team. We've got a great coach. We're a winning franchise. Let's lock him in.
Anthony Davis, though, said during the whole trade deadline he didn't want to play in Boston.
So did these other guys. Paul George's verbatim comment was, I will only sign with the Lakers.
Yeah, but this is different. Anthony, I believe this is accurate. I believe Anthony Davis's father thinks Red Auerbach is racist.
Well, that might be right. And if that is the case, and they roll the dice on that, then I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah. Obviously, it's risky, man. It's a risky game. All we know is that if they don't do that deal, they're building on youth, and they can do that. I personally would stay with what I got if I was them. I'd re-sign Al Horford, and I'd use Tatum and Jaylen Brown as my centerpiece. and I would just deal with the fact that I have this terrible Gordon Hayward contract. So Chris and I, with free agency coming up, and we're big Mavs fans, we actually put a little list together, each one of us, about some of the guys we'd like to see the Mavs go after. I think we did 5 each. Did you get 5?
I did.
So we got 5 each. So we looked through that. We combed through the free agency list, and we're going to kind of give a here and why we want these guys to be on the Dallas Mavericks. So you go first.
Okay.
Who is your number one guy that you want more than anyone to be on the Mavs?
Kristaps Porzingis.
Okay.
And a lot of people aren't talking about it. He doesn't have to sign with us. We've had the whole trial run. We still have to convince him to sign with us. Mm-hmm. He's our biggest. If we lose him, we gave up 2 picks and 3 starters for nothing.
I think there is a 99.9999 and add 8 more 9% chance that he signs.
I agree with you, but until he actually signs his contract.
Well, he's restricted. We can match where he could say I'm not. He could say, you know what, I want to sign with the Bulls, and the Bulls could offer him whatever, and we could match it because he's restricted.
Well, I agree, but
I don't. So, but yes, no, I don't. That's not a bad take because you were right. He's not yet logged in.
Or he could say, I'm only going to sign a 1-year deal with us.
Oh, that would suck.
That would be really bad. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't think anybody would do that. Would you turn down $158 million?
If I didn't want to play for that team, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a lot different than everybody else. He's still going to get $25 million for 1 year. And then he goes has a good year.
5 if he signs 1.
He only gets 5?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's his rookie deal.
Oh, that's right. I forget.
They do that on purpose.
I forget the NBA's weird.
They do that contract. They do that on purpose to make him opt in.
That's dirty.
Well, it gives you the ability. I kind of dig it because it's telling you get a player. You're basically guaranteed a player for 7 years if you want him, if you draft him. So I don't disagree with it. I like the logic. That's another reason we traded for him is because we technically have a lot of control. And if he does say, no, I want to go to Chicago, hypothetically, and we match his contract, guess what? Then we trade him. And we get assets for him. It might not be as great, but it might be better than the assets we gave up, right? I think we could yield better draft picks and better players than we gave up for the guy. So I think it's win-win in that situation. But that's a very valid point because he very well could say, look, I only want to do a 2-year deal, or I'm only going to do a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
it could be a thing, man.
Yeah.
So my number one guy is Kimba. I started the hashtag Kimba to Dallas on Twitter, and I think it would be a fantastic fit. The one thing I don't like about it, and we'll talk about this when I get into my guys that are 2, 3, and 4. The one thing I don't like about Kimba being on the Mavs is that that's all your money. You have a trade exception and a couple MLE contracts you can offer, right?
Exceptions, yeah.
But you're pretty much putting all your eggs in that basket, and that might be good enough.
It's 3 superstars.
It might be, yeah, exactly. And then it makes Tim Hardaway your 4th best player, and dude's a baller. So that's my number one priority. That's what I want. It's a pipe dream. That's my white whale. We always talk about, we listen to the fan here in Dallas, and they say, who's your pizza party guy? That's mine, is Kimba. If Kimba was to become a Mav, that's my holy crap. All this 5 years of getting spurned by DeAndre, being a lottery team, it turned into Porzingis, Kimba Walker, and Luka. Thank you, DeAndre.
We might be able to re-sign DeAndre.
We could absolutely probably re-sign him.
He's an unrestricted free agent.
Right. If you get Kimba, you probably could not. Unless he's willing to sign for like $5 million. Which, who knows?
If he wants a championship, that'd be a really good squad.
He liked it here, too.
Yes. Just think, starting 5 of this.
I hear a lot of rumblings about Tyson Chandler, which is just gross. Give it up, people. We won a championship with him. Yeah. Let him graze. Let him graze.
Just think about the starting 5 if you were able to do that. Kimba, Luka, Tim Howard.
Tim Hardaway?
Yeah, Hardaway. Porzingis. And then DeAndre Jordan.
And then you have Brunson. You have JJ. You have Dodo. Yeah, that's a deep team, man. That's
a playoff team. That's at least a 6 seed right there.
And they're gonna have to swing for the fences, man. Like I said, I have a bad feeling Anthony Davis is gonna make the Pelicans really, really good when they get rid of him. I really do. What do you?
Did you see Zion's look?
Yeah, I watched it.
Boy, he looked like he got hit in the face.
He'll be there. He'll be there, man. He wasn't expecting it. It was so random, and it's such a small market.
Yeah. Now, I say I don't like the team. I love the city, though.
Well, think about it this way. You are a kid, right? And you're about to go to the NBA. And the last 4 teams that are standing are New York, which is what it's been talked about the whole time, right? You're on Twitter. You watch the news. These are still your idols and superstars. He's watching Sports Center and everything else, right? You see that it's the Lakers with LeBron, and it's New York with the possibility of all these things that might happen that the news is talking about. You've got a 1 in 4 chance that it's 2 of the teams you'd want to go to more than anybody else. I think it's natural to be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
I mean, it's human. I mean, so he's not a good actor. So he won't be in Space Jam 2.
He might be.
so that's how that goes. So who's your number 2? Who's your number 2 guy that you'd want to sign?
My number 2 is actually Kimba.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with you.
So we're both on the Kimba train.
Yeah. I mean, he's a white whale.
Well, we'd be the same because we both want Kristoff and we both want Kimba. So we're in 100% agreement in our Mavs off-season lockup for 5 years. Porzingis, and they get Kimba here for the next 4.
Yes.
Okay. My number 2 is Julius Randle.
Mine is Nikola Vucevic.
Oh, nice. The reason why I don't like Vooch, and not because I don't like the player, I think that in a Western Conference where the Joker is a thing, and so it's Clint Capella and Rudy Gobert, I think he would serve very well for the Mavs to be more competitive and actually have a chance against some of these teams. I like Julius Randle because he's so versatile. He can average 20 points a game. He can get 20 points a game. He can get double-digit boards. And I'm thinking of him and Porzingis together. I think that they would flow so amazing.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Would it be better to get Randle than Kimba? And the reason why I say that is because you don't have anybody down low. You got Dwight Powell. He's okay.
Well, this is my thing. This is what I think. I'm a numbers guy, right? I like fantasy football because I can break down stats. So for me, if I'm getting Julius Randle, so that means obviously if Julius Randle's a thing, which he's restricted still, so they could still keep him in New Orleans. With Zion, though, I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to walk. I think he's done. I don't think they'd want Zion and Julius. They're kind of the same.
It's kind of weird how somebody that signed a 1-year deal is a restricted free agent.
Well, he signed a 2-year deal, but 2-year deals are 1. But it's player option.
Yeah.
So he can say, no, I don't want, which probably will happen. He probably will say, no, I don't want to come back.
Yeah.
Because he can probably make more money. So here's my thing on Randle, is that if I get Julius Randle, that means I've missed out on Kimba. Because you're not getting Kimba and Julius. It's not a thing, right? You go get Pat Beverly. You make Pat Beverly your starting point guard.
Yeah.
And then you have Julius Randle, and there you go. That's my vision if Julius Randle happens at 2, but I haven't even got to my 3 or 4 yet. Because Beverly's actually my 5 of players that I would want here. Are you on 3 or 4 now?
Well, Randall's my 4, but I was on 3.
Who is your 3?
Vucevic.
Oh, that's right, Vucevic. So who's your 5?
My 5 is JJ Redick.
JJ Redick. Okay, we have a lot of the same players. My 3 is a player you probably don't even know because you are not into the NBA like I am, which is fine. He's a pacer and he's a lights out shooter. My number 3 guy is Bogdan Bogdanovic.
I know Bogdanovic.
Yes, Bogdanovic is a baller. And it's very possible that the Mavs could get Julius Randle, him, and Pat Beverly. The money could work for all 3 guys to happen. So you've got that shooter to go with Luka. You've got a crazy big to play next to KP. The problem is that you're having a different dynamic power front court every night probably in a situation like that. And then you got Pat Beverly to guard the point guards.
From Pat Beverly's in
and he's
Clippers, right?
Right, he's such a good defender.
And he makes about $6, $7, $8 million.
He's such a good defender.
Yeah.
Right. So and then JJ Redick is my number 4. JJ Redick, I want either Bogdan or JJ. I would like to add one of those 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
Now, there are other shooters out there, and this is something we'll get way more into as free agency occurs because people can opt in, opt out. There's a lot of things that'll happen, and of course the shatter is going to start to get really close for what players are thinking, what their agents are thinking. I know that I heard on the radio on the way to work via Mike Fisher that agents are talking to Donnie Nelson and the Mavs, and that when you have a stud that likes to pass the ball, and you got something special, people want to play with that.
Mm-hmm.
You see Patrick Beverley tweeting.
The googly eyes,
yeah. So,
well, that was after Luka followed him.
Right.
Like,
so,
I see you, yeah.
So there's inner workings here, so we'll see. Kemba was a person we tried to trade for before we went for Porzingis.
Yep.
So for Dennis Smith. So Kemba's been on the list, and Kemba knows that. So, but
Just
could he stay in Charlotte?
How
Sure.
stupid was that of Charlotte to not make that trade?
I don't know. Or maybe they don't want. Maybe they didn't want Dennis Smith.
Yeah, I'd rather take the guy that I can control for another 5 years versus the guy that's probably going to leave.
Maybe they have their money side on free agency. There's a bunch of different directions. Maybe they're going to get a point guard in the draft.
Yeah, but Dennis Smith was the 9th pick of the draft. He's on a small contract, easily controlled.
And their GM might not like him, though. I mean, you don't know. I mean, we don't know what goes on. Think about it. Phil Jackson passed on Dennis Smith because he didn't pass his octopus test. Some people are different, and you just don't know.
Octopus test?
He wanted him to eat octopus, and he did not. It's weird. It's very odd.
Yeah.
So just to run down my top 5 again for everyone, since we kind of jumped around. My number 1 priority if I'm the Mavs is Kemba. That's my pizza party guy. That's the guy I want on the team. That's the guy that I want here. Number 2 for me is Julius Randle. I'm a fan of his game. Actually, Mike Bassick, who is on the fan, agrees with me completely. Number 3 for me is Bogdanovich. I think he would be a perfect fit here. He's low-key kind of a good defender, too. And then J.J. Redick. I just like his game, man. 3-point shooters. I'm about surrounding Luka with the shooters. J.J. might be too rich for our blood, though. He might be too expensive. And then number 5 is Pat Beverly. I think of the 5 guys on the list, I think the one that you can probably almost guarantee is a Mav might be Pat Beverly. I really do for some reason. I think that they're going to try to go shooters and defenders around these guys. Luka is better defender than I gave him credit for coming out of Madrid, but these guys can wear him out, and he gets tired in games, and you saw this down the stretch.
Well, yes,
because he's chasing the point guards around a lot.
But he's also a 19-year-old kid that never spent
for sure.
He didn't have. Now he's going to have his first NBA offseason and all that. He's finally getting some rest. I also think that weighed on him a lot down the stretch too. He came in and did all this playing from Madrid, all that.
Oh yeah, he never really took a break, and then on top of not taking a break, just being tired, just learning how to be an NBA. They're stronger, they're faster, they're bigger. You're trying to keep up with them. The mental toll of losing your teammates. I mean, he's never had to deal with that, right? In Madrid, they don't trade your starting lineup away from you. So that's all things that are very new and very foreign to him. So there's that. So there's a lottery breakdown in free agency. So we're going to touch on the NBA playoffs real quick. There's 2 series left. It's almost finals time. Boy, Portland better find... Hopefully it's just that they're so drained because they were behind by 17 points to Denver and used every bit of energy they have possible, but it looks like they don't belong. It looks like the Warriors... And I thought the Warriors would do the same thing to Denver. The Warriors are just a better team even without KD.
That's the thing. KD's not playing, and then Boogie's not playing. Boogie's almost ready to play again.
I don't know. He doesn't look like he can walk still, in my opinion. Oh, that's just for me seeing. I saw a video of him walking. I'm like, that dude does not look like he's ready at all. Like I don't know, but maybe he can. Maybe he's one of those guys. It's game time and he's good to go, right? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, KD will be back by the finals. I don't think they're gonna have to play him in this series. I wouldn't even risk it. I mean, if they win the first 2, he's not. He wouldn't.
So you would sit him the first 3 games, and as long as Portland doesn't win Game 3,
even if Portland won Game 3, I'd sit him.
I'm intrigued by this.
I wouldn't be worried unless somehow Portland made it 2-2, and then I'd bring them back. But if we're up 2-1 and then we go up 3-1, I'm not playing them. I'm letting them rest that. The finals are way more important than...
Well, they whooped them, and it wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't.
So, it was close in the first quarter for the first, 5 minutes.
I mean, Draymond Green was just on fire.
It just looked bad.
Yeah.
And the Splash Brothers are like, hey, man.
36-26.
You guys think... and this is what I said about Houston. Remember? When we were talking about that, I was like, people think that, hey, you disrespect us? You think we're not the guys? We're the Splash Brothers, man. They want to be like Stockton and Malone. They want to be like this combo that... people talk about in NBA history.
I think the problem with the Warriors, and nobody's really talked about it, is they have too many players.
Yeah, well, Kevin Durant not that he's just a guy, because he's phenomenal. And they surely are better with Kevin Durant. Saying that they're a better team without Durant is stupid. They're really not.
Well,
because
I think player-wise, they're a better team with Durant because of, obviously, the bodies.
Well, the scheme.
The scheme is different with Durant on the court.
Right. It's a different...
I think they're a better team without Durant on the court because I think it's your core three, and they're playing the way they played when they won 73.
Right. No, I don't disagree.
I think that's, and the only thing I mean is that system fits them better than the system running with KD.
For sure.
And that's no knock on KD because, like you said, he's an absolute stud.
Oh yeah,
he's a superstar. And
I think he's ready to be the best player in the league again, and he has been. But it's hard to say that when you're around so many great people. So he gone. Out east, we've got starting tonight. Actually, it's actually about to tip off.
20 minutes, yeah.
We've got the Greek Freak versus Kawhi. I'm intrigued by this series, man. I'll be watching it on my phone at the gym.
What if Kawhi joined Milwaukee?
If he like Durant.
Would it be? Well, because Milwaukee hasn't won anything. The Greek Freak doesn't have... The Greek Freak's got Chris Middleton. He doesn't have another superstar next to him. Middleton's underrated.
I'm intrigued. I'd have to study and see if they had max money. I haven't even looked at their contracts yet.
Well, they're gonna have to give Middleton max.
Right, but I think that's why people are thinking he's gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if they have you can sign your own and go over. So I'm intrigued by that. I think Kawhi at this point is going to stay in Toronto.
That's something to think about for the Mavs. Could the Mavs sign Kemba, another guy, and then sign Kristaps?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, and he probably would.
That'd be a smarter move.
Cuban's okay with paying lottery or luxury, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know, man. It's so many different things because if you can entertain Kemba and you got to pay him $30, maybe all of a sudden Dwight Powell doesn't become a thing.
Well, Dwight Powell's got a player option.
Right. Well, he might opt out of it, or they can cut him.
If I'm Dwight Powell, I'm opting out.
They can cut him and stretch it, where they don't have to pay the money, and they could. The Mavs could easily free up another $10 million by cutting Powell and Courtney Lee and then stretching it. You stretch it over, I think, 3 years. So it's a marginal hit for that time.
Yeah.
So even if he opts in and they're like, dang, dude, we don't want you here, man, they could easily do that. Not saying that's what will happen.
Cuban said he's a $50 million guy.
Well, man, if Dwight Powell is what's left from the Rondo deal, and he certainly improved his three-point shooting and did well, but there's a bunch
of... but he blocks you from getting another really good guy. He really does.
He maybe.
Powell's just a guy.
If they don't want to come here.
Powell's just a guy, though. I think you could get... Those three guys you were talking about earlier.
I don't think so. I think he serves in the Carlisle system, and we're not talking to anybody where it matters right now, if that makes sense. There's not someone that we have on our team that it's blocking and that it's going to prevent from being here, because I don't think, like if Kevin Durant called us right now and was like, hey man, I want to come to Dallas, then we would make that room, because you would need every bit of $35 to $40 million to bring him here. But that's not really a thing. So I don't think we even need to worry about that. So who do you like in Milwaukee versus Toronto? I have Toronto in 6. I put it on the record. I put it on Twitter. And I don't feel great about it. I just got a feeling, man. I'm going for... It's cool because both teams have not been in the finals. Like Toronto never. Milwaukee maybe a long, long time ago. Forgive me for not knowing my basketball
Will Chamberlain
facts.
was there.
Yeah, so like in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see fresh blood there. And I kind of want Milwaukee in my gut because I think they match up better with the Warriors.
I've got in my pre-bracket, I have Milwaukee going for the championship.
Is it you still feel they're going to win?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think they have the best player.
How many games?
7.
Ooh. Well, if it goes 7, they're going to win. They're not losing at home.
They might lose at home.
Statistics are so against it. I already, like Philly, they lost, right? And it was funny because I said this on Twitter, is if you, think of it this way, right? If only 4% of road teams win Game 7, and there's 2 Game 7s in the day, and the road team just won Game 7, what's the likelihood that the other team's going to win Game 7?
It's not very good.
Math is not on its side, right? That's like just what I thought. I was like, well, wait a minute, man. Like, is Philly already eliminated before the game even starts because this road team just won Game 7, which was Portland? And mathematically, I mean, that crazy shot, one of the better buzzer beaters I've ever seen. I didn't see it live. We were watching Game of Thrones. But, yeah, jeez. It was a good one.
Yeah, 4 bounces.
Gosh, for real. So, on to football. We're going to close the pod out with talking about football. Chris and I are continuing our series. First off, if you guys did not know, we did last week the AFC East, which was the Patriots division. We are both in agreement that the New England Patriots will win the division this year, and that you're going to get a little bit better seasons from the Jets and from the Bills. And the Dolphins are going to be bad, but not as bad as maybe laughingly we thought they might be. They'll still be bad though. So we're doing the AFC South in our segment here. So first off, before we start breaking it down, next week we're going to do the AFC North. You good with that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll do the AFC North next week, and we'll break that down, and we'll get that all divvied up. So Chris, as always, I'll let you start. What 2 teams did you cover in the AFC?
I've got the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans.
All right, perfect. So let's start with Titans.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's start with the Titans.
All right.
What kind of year do you think the Titans are going to have this year?
I've got the Titans going 8-8, finishing 4th in the division. I think they're in a really, really good division. They might be in the best division in football.
Okay.
Most competitive, at least.
I agree with that.
Big loss they had this year. Let Taylor Lewan go. They didn't sign him, re-sign him. They decided not to. But they did get Roger Southfield from the Rams to fill his spot. I know Lewan was a tackle, but Southfield's, he's a capable guy. He was really good out there. They signed Cameron Wake. I don't think it's a great signing. His sack numbers dipped the last 3 years. He's down to 6 sacks last year. He's just a guy. But losing Orakpo, they needed a guy to fill his spot. A.J. Brown, the wide receiver that they got in the second round, 51 overall, is a steal for them.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to, he should help that offense out a lot. That's really what I've got for them. I think they did some good things. I just don't think quarterback play for Mariota is good enough for this team in that division. That's the only thing holding this team back.
I agree with you. This is a very good division. It's funny because when you pick a win total for a team, is you feel like you're either you feel like you're giving them too little or too much, right? It's like, God, I just give this team 13 wins. Like, what? I don't think that's a thing. Or, God, this team just got 4 wins, and you go and you double check it. And I think the Titans are low key could be a surprise next season. I think that, and what I mean by this is that I have the Colts doing very well. And we're going to get into that here in a second. And I have the Colts, in fact, winning the division. And I don't not think this. But are the Colts a team that everyone is high on, and they're this year's Jags? Are they the team that everyone's like, man, their defense is good, their offensive line is good, Andrew Luck's looking healthy, they're a Super Bowl contender next year, and they win 5 games? Could that be a thing? And,
no.
And the Titans exceed?
No, I think when you're a team like you were just talking about with the Colts, and you've got so many different elements that are good, it's hard to be bad. When you're a team that had, your defense is good, your offense was okay. But when the next year when your defense isn't as good, well, your offense didn't catch up.
Do you have the Colts sweeping the Titans?
Yes.
That's interesting.
I do.
Because you know why that's interesting?
Because it's never happened?
No. It has nothing to do with that. I don't disagree with your assessment. But they're a team that I think could win 7 to 10 games. I think 8-8 is safe and probably realistic what it's at. But if the Colts aren't who we think they are, is there a chance they could sweep them and be a 10-win team and win the division?
No, I don't think 10 wins that division. Especially since
it might.
Especially since my second place team is 11-5.
Aha. Okay. Well, spoiler alert. We'll get into that in a second. So I have the Colts that I'm going to break down now. I have the Colts finishing at 12-4. The Colts, I have them starting off kind of rough, actually, man. The Colts opened the season versus the Chargers. I have them losing. They play the Titans the next week. I have them losing to the Titans because it's in Tennessee. Then I have them beating Atlanta, beating Oakland, losing to the Chiefs. So I have the Colts starting off the season 2-3, much like they did this year. Their bye week's week 6, which will be good. They get to regroup. They get to hear all the media noise about they're a Super Bowl contender and they're starting off this low. And then I have them getting down to business. Beating Houston, beating Denver, beating the Steelers, beating Miami, beating the Jags before they lose to the Texans week 12. Then they're going to beat the Titans, beat Tampa, beat New Orleans, beat Carolina, and finish the season beating the Jags. So I have them going on quite the two win streaks and coming to the playoffs super, super hot. They had a pretty quiet offseason, okay? And what I mean by that is they reminded me a lot of Dallas. They're a good team, and they just added depth. Players that are good. Now, the signing I like the most was I like Paris Campbell, the wide receiver. I think that he's a freak athlete. I think that he's going to fit real well with Andrew Luck, the weapons that he has anyway. They also added Spencer Ware for running back, who honestly is going to be fighting for a roster spot. I think it's the Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines show, personally. I think it's your 1A and 1B. Maybe Spencer Ware makes it as your third guy, maybe partial goal line. But I think they win 12. And I did this a couple times because I kept giving them so many wins. There's so many, what is Tampa going to be like? Is Tampa going to be hitting their stride at the end of the year? I do have them beating New Orleans, which, honestly, New Orleans versus Colts, hopefully that's a Sunday night or Monday night game, right? That could be must-see TV. So there's different directions that can go, but 12-4 is what I settled. I did it 3 times, and 12-4 is where I'm at. So I think they win the division, and I think we're in agreement because they would be better than what you have your team as. That would be the winner.
Yep.
Okay. Do you disagree with the 12-4 assessment?
No, I think they're the clear-cut best team in that division. And the reason why is the Texans are going to be good on offense. We know that. Defense, they're going to have Watt back. But they lost 2 starting corners. Mm-hmm. Jadeveon Clowney still hasn't signed his franchise tenure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's huge problems going on with that. Jadeveon Clowney's not happy. He thinks he should be getting, tank money probably. He's not. The guy's not a bust.
No, he's a good player.
First 2 years he had those injuries and everything, but the last 3 years he's done really well for that franchise, and they're just not giving him the money he wants. I don't think they have the money to give him what he wants.
What do you have their record as?
11-5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I have it 11-5, and that's if everything, if Jadeveon signs and all that. So if Jadeveon doesn't sign, it's a huge problem because
DeAndre Hopkins is probably arguably the best wide receiver in football. He's a target monster.
He is a target monster. He's got a quarterback that can get him the ball.
And they addressed the offensive line a little bit. Their draft was kind of poor. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, Titus Howard out of Alabama State was their first overall pick. When you got to find a guy from Alabama State to be your starting offensive lineman in the first round, I don't know much about the kid, but it's hard.
I don't disagree with it, man. It's funny because every single one of these teams, which is weird, and I didn't feel this way last week. I think we were pretty much hit the nail on the head with all their records. I think every team, and because it's so tight, I think every team you could give or take 2 wins. I really do. Oh yeah. If the Colts won 13, or if the Colts won 14 games, I wouldn't be blown away by that. And if they only won 10, I wouldn't be blown away. It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, if the Titans have a 4th place, right? They finished last in the division or 3rd in the division.
They finished 3rd.
Yeah, because the Jags. So they're on the 3rd place schedule.
Very bum year.
Tennessee could easily win. Tennessee actually was a pretty good team on the stretch last year.
They were. Derrick Henry unleashed.
Yeah, the beast. I've seen that man in real life. Dude is a monster.
On your honeymoon, right?
Yeah, on my honeymoon, walking up a set of stairs.
That's cool.
I looked at him and I was like, damn.
So the Jags were the 4th team that I did. So I don't have the Jags having a very good year at all. I don't know if it's Nick Foles' hate. I don't know if I'm just not a believer in what they're putting together there. But before I tell you what my record is, I want to just go over the schedule. Okay? There's some teams that can overcome bad starts. Okay? There are some teams that can overcome a rough schedule start, starting off 0-3, starting off 0-2, 1-5, whatever. We've seen Phillip Rivers do this, right? We've seen the Colts last year do this. So the Cowboys, to an extent, we saw overcome, was it 3-5, right, to start the year? So
yeah.
The Jags opened the year playing the Chiefs. I don't see a world that they beat the Chiefs. I just don't. unless their defense turns into what it was 2 years ago, I just don't see it. Andy Reid knows Nick Foles, which means he knows his tendencies, which means he knows how to beat him, so he can give tips to the defensive, right? Tips to the defense so they can take him down.
He knows his traits and all that in Philly.
Well, he drafted the guy.
Yeah, he drafted the guy.
He knows everything about
He hasn't coached the guy in 5 years.
Well, he still knows his
And
stuff.
now he's going from Doug Peterson's system to a Doug Marrone system.
Do you think the Chiefs would lose to the Jags?
Well, no, I think the Chiefs are one of the best
Okay,
teams.
well, thank you. Week 2, I have them losing to Houston. Do you have that?
I do.
Okay, so that's 0-2. Now, I do have them beating Tennessee in Week 3. But do you?
Where's that?
It's in Tennessee.
No.
No, I'm sorry, it's in Jacksonville.
Then yes.
Okay, so number 4, they play Denver Week 4. I have them losing to Denver. And you know why? Denver has this weird thing. Think 2 years ago when Denver smacked the Cowboys. We're going to bring our Cowboy homerism into this. Denver's record in September and October in Denver is stupid. They've only lost like 4 games in the last decade there. Stupid. So, I have them losing to Denver. Then they play Carolina. And I flip-flopped on this. I did it 3 times. And it won out. I have them beating the Panthers. Because I think Carolina... I think they're going to get to Cam.
Cam's not going to play this year.
Yeah, he is. He's going to play. That's a bunch of hubbub. He'll be playing. We still don't know yet, but I think he's going to play. I have them losing to New Orleans. I have them beating the Bengals. Losing to the Jets. Beating Houston. Week 10's their bye. Week 11, losing to the Colts. Losing to the Titans. Losing to Tampa. Losing to Chargers. Beating Oakland, losing to Atlanta, losing to Colt, final record 5-11. So riddle me this. I could be giving them too much hate, but how much?
At least 2 games.
So 7 wins?
Yeah.
See? They're the worst team in the division.
By a game on the way I've got it.
Yeah, by a game or 2. They still are. I mean, it's the way everything kind of stacks up. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, and who knows? We don't know till they play the games, right? Nick Foles could be a baller. He could be Super Bowl Foles. That defense could come back to what it was before. Leonard Fournette could be healthy and be the best running back in the league for all we know.
Oh,
There's a million things.
Leonard Fournette will never be the best running back in the league. Leonard Fournette doesn't have that skill set.
So that's my thing. Now, I did like their draft. Okay, they added Allen, the offensive line, or the Josh Allen, the linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Jawan Taylor, the offensive lineman, who frickin' we're all about. And we thought we had him mocked as going there. And they got him in the 2nd round. They got 2 really good players, in my opinion. And then they signed Nick Foles, which was a great free agent signing. It really was. You're not paying him too much money. $24-25 million.
They just don't have any receivers.
I think D.D. Westbrook's a low-key baller. I have a man crush on him. I think he's way better probably than what he really is. But I think he's going to be good. But we'll see how that pans out. And if Leonard Fournette can stay healthy, you might have a team that can play. But I think this division's going to beat the piss out of each other. And I think this might be the best division in football. Like, as far as talent being even, just I could make a case for the Jags winning the division like you could the Titans. I really do think we could go in any direction with this division and say they win. I feel good about where we rated them.
Yeah.
Basically, if you go by our ratings, I think we both would agree with it, too. We have Colts on top, we have Texans number 2, we have Titans number 3, and we have Jags number 4.
I have Tennessee and the Jags flipped on mine.
Now, when you look at it this way, though...
Yeah, when you look at it that way...
When you really break it down, they're 4th, right? It's crazy. It's wild. We must see TV, as always. So, as promised, next week we will continue our breakdown of the AFC, and we'll be doing the AFC North and breaking that down. So we will once again do 2 teams, and we'll see. So far, so good. We are pretty much in agreement with, and even if we didn't, and at the naked eye thought something different, we've done a pretty good job of convincing the other one that we're right, I think. I think, or at least I'm telling that to myself, so I feel smart.
Yeah.
So in closing, before we move on and go into our lives and everything else, as always, Game of Thrones? What in the world, man? People are hating. People are hating.
People hate this season.
And you know why they do? I don't want to. I'm not going to run anything.
Oh no, it's don't. You're good.
I know my wife hasn't watched the latest episode yet, and she listens to the pod, so I don't want to say anything. So just out of respect for my lovely wife, I will not. But this is what I'm going to say. I think the people that are hating are people who just jumped onto the phenomenon. I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, because you are a person who streamed it to catch up. You are a person that did not watch, and then pretty much crammed everything in a few week period to get caught up. Now you're experiencing this live, right? So I've been watching since season 1. I'm thinking, and I think this might be a valid thing. I'm thinking the individuals that just kind of jumped on, that it was so hard to. You don't have the off seasons in the week to let the characters really marinate and sink in, like you do by just binging everything at once. I think that it's affecting people who just binge it on more because there's less connection and understanding to everything, and that could be totally incorrect. That could be a thing that I'm just kind of shooting from the hip because I'm loving everything that I'm seeing. I think it's fine that they're going in the direction they're going. And with being spoiler free, as you being a person who is just binged it, are you liking the direction? Are you appreciative of where they're at? Are you disappointed?
I'm disappointed only in one fact, that
spoiler free now.
Well, that they're condensing so much into one season.
You feel like it could be 2 or 3?
I think it could be 2.
Well, sure, I do too. I would agree with that.
I think they did the first 7 seasons of, hey, everybody, meet me at Winterfell, and then 3 episodes, everything's gone, and then the 4th one set up to where the 5th one. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but we're at where we're at now with 1 episode left, and there's so much stuff that just happened. You know, the whole Night King thing. You know, they could have. Yeah, it was great. 55 nights to shoot an episode. But it just happened so fast.
Right. Well, I think, too, from what I heard, is the writer of the books told them how he's going to end the books. So they are going with his vision, which is what they should do. Yep. The problem is there's no side character development. Like, what made, to me, one of this show so fantastic is the side stories and the character development and the want. And this season is just focused on the core. The side stories really aren't a thing. There's really not 8 things going on at once. It's one thing going on at once.
Yep.
And so it's showing that as a show, and hey, this will be good for future shows. If you want something like this to work, you want to make it like a soap opera. A soap opera has all these stories going on at one time, right? And not everybody's ever really on the screen at the same time. And I think that's what made Game of Thrones work. And I think that's really what's kind of changed it, is that all the dynamics are in one room. It's kind of like the meeting of the, what is it, with all the nations, the United Nations, mm-hmm. right? They all come together and they're the same. It's kind of like that. It's just everybody's there. And I do think that so many people have been built up. It's been talked about for a year. The wait was so long. So many people that weren't fans became fans. So many people that might not even be fans binge watch it just to be part of what this is. I think that's why it's getting some hate, but sign me up for the last episode. I am not disappointed in where this has gone, and I have some theories that I will discuss with you off pod because I do not want to ruin anything for anybody who has not watched it, but I have some theories on what's going to be happening. So that's that. So John Wick comes out this week, John Wick Chapter 3. For those of you who want a review, I will be reviewing this next week. I'm watching it on Friday night with my familia. So all I know is that he rides a horse and fights a man with a katana on a bike. So it's going to be a thumbs up for me, regardless of the plot line of the movie. I'm sold.
Sounds good to me.
I'm pretty much sold.
Yeah.
So we'll break down, catch everybody up on what's going on with the Stanley Cup. I know Boston looks like they're going to sweep Carolina. And we've got Blues trying to go ahead in the series tonight, so we'll catch you guys up on the Stanley Cup. We'll talk more free agency. Next week, 2 things that will happen is Chris and I will have a 1 through 10 mock draft in the NBA. Okay? So we know where everybody's going. We'll have our 10, and we'll go from that. Okay? And then we're going to do the AFC North and break that down, and then we're going to have some more nuggets for you, for our teams, and for, I'm sure there's going to be quite an NBA chatter that continues to go on throughout the next week, especially with this AD situation in New Orleans. So if you have not done so, and you want to do so because you like this podcast, feel free to follow us in worlds that aren't just in the podcast realm. My Twitter handle is Chew on Sports. I tweet sports video games and sports all day, every day. Chris's Twitter is ctempo3.
That it is.
And same thing. We're talking about sports all the time. Facebook, for me as well, is Zachary Van Meter. And then it's Tecmo Zach on Instagram. I've actually gotten really involved with my Instagramming for this podcast. And the podcast I did with the guests, with the Live King, with Steven, thank you for being on the show, by the way, sir. I posted that on Instagram and tagged him. We had over 100 likes on that. It's a picture of an EA Sports logo. I'm not even in it. It's nothing. It's literally, I'll show it to you. For those who want to go to Twitter and catch it out, it is my most liked picture that I put on Instagram. And that is all that it is. It is literally the EA Sports logo. That's it. But 94 likes. So riddle me that. So great pod, great topics. We're going to keep bringing the content to you guys. Chris and I are stepping our game up. We're excited that here next weekend we're going to do our first podcast for Creator Rank. That's going to be going down. So those of you who want to hear some fantasy football nuggets, make sure that you get onto that. We'll be dropping all the information on that as well. So without further ado, thanks for listening. As always, thanks for tuning in. Catch you later.
Peace.